today I think that this episode is going to be super beneficial for those people that can actually grasp the things that we're going to mention, right? Because today's recording is about reflecting on 2023 and the 9 lessons we learned. So I'm going to do 9 and you're going to do 9.
Yeah.
And they are lessons which are not common. They're not going to be like, I learned that I should invest more money or things like that, right? We're actually going to go into some deep lessons
Yeah.
that people cannot find anywhere else because no one else is actually doing this. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Nice.
So,
So who wants to start?
I don't know. I would play rock, paper, scissors to see who's going to start with we're not using cameras. Yeah, I'm thinking of a number from 1 to 5. What number am I thinking about?
You were thinking about 4.
No, I'm thinking about 3. I just don't know
Okay.
I don't know how that helps. Let me just go first.
Yeah, go first then.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I have 9 lessons and they're all very much different from what people will expect. And
Yes.
like we discussed off camera, we want to sort of go over them and actually explain why they're so important and
Yes.
why we encourage people to actually either see if they have already done it or to find a way to do them.
Yes.
So my first lesson that I've learned in 2023 after reflecting is getting to know who I am.
Yes.
So knowing thyself, finding myself,
Yes.
attaining supreme consciousness and self-awareness, which led to all of the decisions being conscious and having no regrets.
Yeah.
So that is my first lesson. And I think that this is the single most important thing for anyone, like anyone living this life to
Yes.
actually, it's even written in the Bible, know thyself, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to give a very vivid example, and I hope my ex is not watching this, but I was in a relationship in the first part of 2023, but I was feeling a little bit uh, miserable and everything, and I couldn't figure out why. And later on, only once I broken up and I went on to like a half a year solitude, like deep solitude.
Yeah.
Once I learned who I am and what I wanted, I understood two things. Number one is she couldn't really love me because she really didn't know who she was in love with, because I
Yeah.
didn't know who I was, so I was not showing myself. So she
Mhm.
wasn't unless she had the ability to recognize the true me, but I was too stupid to actually see it. Never mind. And then on the second, on the more important thing is, even if she could recognize the true me, I didn't. So the question was, who is doing the loving? Because I don't
Yes.
know who I am. So how can I love you if I don't know who I am?
Yes.
And we talk about, or I talked about a lot of authenticity and how that is one of the crucial things. But again, how can you be authentic if you do not know who you are?
Yes.
So what do you think about this one?
That's incredibly important. Before you can branch out and do any kind of other things, whether that be biohacking or business or communications, trying to expand your network or whatnot, you have to know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, then you don't know what you want. And if you don't know what you want yet, but then you don't know what to pursue, right? And then you don't
Yeah,
know which to take. So that's incredibly important for anyone. And I think it's one of the first steps.
yeah,
Because if you don't know who you are, nobody else knows who you are.
exactly.
You're going to spiral into this personality who isn't you, right? You're going to start reading
Yeah,
books that doesn't resonate with you.
and if we're honest, most people are living as someone who they're not because
Yes.
society and their family and their
Yes.
parents told them who they are. Like if we think about it, from the moment we're born, like literally from the moment we're born, we are given a name,
Yes.
we're given a nationality, we're given a flag, we're given a number, and it's like also the things that are in our family inherently become a part of us. So if our, like if let's say for instance that's not the case, but let's say if my parents like to listen to, I don't know, hip hop music, that would
Yes.
generally sort of affect me in a way
Yes.
where I would do the same. But that's not, that's really not a big problem if you just listen to hip hop and that's not you.
Yeah.
When the true problem manifests is when your parents grew up with a poverty mindset and
Yes.
then
Oh
you
yeah.
took it as a part of yourself. It's like you don't even believe that you can achieve something that your
Yes.
parents haven't, but you took it
Yes.
as a part of you. Now, why?
This. Yeah.
This is the thing I want people to ask themselves. Why? Why is that you? Do you actually know that that's you, or is someone told you that that's who you are?
Yes. That's incredibly important. That's why you see so many kids of smokers smoke, right? That's why you
Yeah,
see so many depressed or fat people come from fat parents. It's incredible how much they influence you. And there again, it goes back to the principle of you are in reality the average of your five people, right?
yeah,
And everything around you, information, sounds, people, they influence you in a huge manner. And that's why you got to take control over that. And I think all of this comes back to silence, right? To meditation, to
yeah,
actually finding who you are. Because if you're in noise all of the time, you have no idea how to even figure out who you are, right? So it's a huge one.
yeah.
It's definitely a starter.
It's about isolating yourself
Yes.
so that you remove everything that's not you, so that
Yeah.
what remains can actually become your foundation. And I would like to hint at people that they should, because again, we don't want to spend like 3 hours on each lesson, but
Yeah.
I would like to hint at people to look at the Eastern philosophy of neti neti. And neti neti means not that and not that. And the reason why that is so important is because in some of the Eastern philosophies, they say that you can never say what God is, but you can say what God isn't.
Yes.
And and by knowing what God isn't, you can come to a conclusion of that which is, but you can never say it because you first need to figure out everything that it isn't.
Yes.
And the way this same philosophy was sort of reflected in my life is that I went and I tried a lot of things. Like I tried to do as many things as I possibly can, but not attaching to any of it, but just evaluating whether I feel myself doing it or not. And
Yes.
by trying a lot of things, I realized that which I am not. So I have
Yes.
a very, 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 very good awareness of that which I am not. And that's what sort of pushed me in the right direction, finding that which I am.
Yes. That's like Einstein. He even said, reverse, always reverse. Take a problem and then reverse it. Say, if you needed to fail at this, then what would you do? Right? If you need to fail at becoming healthy, then reverse it and say, well, I need to eat sweets to get fat. I need to eat over my
Yeah,
calorie surplus or whatever. And then once you have all of the things which you shouldn't do, then reverse it again and then say, okay, well, these are the things which I can start doing to improve on this particular step.
yeah.
So absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Well, let me
Let's
go ahead.
let's yeah let's draw the line there and go
Yeah.
ahead with your first lesson.
So a lot of what we've actually just talked about ties into my first one, which is believe in some sort of higher power, whoever or whatever that may be to you. I say having a higher power to be accountable to, so you don't become a egotistical piece of a human
Yep.
and working towards a greater purpose. Because Well, first of all, I think it's ignorant to think that you're alone in this universe and there's nothing higher. But that's my opinion, right? That's my perception. But something to be accountable to, and that's really struck me in 2023 is
Hmm.
in my life, having some kind of higher power, having some kind of God, reading the Bible, getting into this space of knowing who God is and seeing his powers on me is it's been just incredibly beneficial in every single area. It's don't
Hmm.
sin, it's do the right thing, do good deeds, be authentic, speak the truth, never lie, do good things, and good things will come to you. Like you said, it's literally in the Bible, know with yourself. And the Bible also, of course, states that you need to do to others what you want others to do to you. And this is also the process of reciprocity, where if you do to other people, they will do to you, right? So it's having a higher power, and we see this rising all over the planet. People believing in Allah, people believing in Christ. It's huge. So many people believe in some kind of higher power, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a god. It can be some kind of higher power, like I said. Maybe you just believe that there's something better than humans, or maybe you believe in angels, whatever it might be. Having something, some kind of, but it doesn't need to be tangible. It can be intangible. Having some kind of feeling or presence of some kind of higher power can be, which you are accountable to, can be extremely beneficial, and it will fill you up like nothing else, right? Because
Absolutely.
yeah,
Now, do tell me, for instance, you have someone like my father,
yeah,
who I'm not gonna lie, he's a fucking genius when it comes to knowledge, but he doesn't realize any of his knowledge because his argument is that he knows he's able, but why he doesn't need to prove himself to anybody because he
yes,
knows that he can, and he doesn't need to show no one, that he's able, because all that matters is that is that he has the knowledge. And I'm like, yeah, you see, I can't agree with that because, like, for instance, if you don't have to prove yourself to no one, and that should be the way, right? You shouldn't have to prove yourself to anyone. But I do have an argument that the only person, I mean, the only thing you should prove yourself to is God, and
yes,
show him that, number one, you're not a waste of energy in life, and number
yeah,
two, that his creation is glorious. Like, show
yes,
him what he has created is
yes,
absolutely amazing. Now, uh, all of this was leading up to a question for you, so you can
hmm,
elaborate on it. Now, what do you do, or what do you say to someone? Because I know there will be people listening who are business people, who are in
yes,
personal development, but they do not want to get on the train of believing in anything, any sort of higher power. So they
yes.
don't
Okay.
want to believe. What do you say to them?
I think it's an ego barrier. I think it's something in your mind where you think that you are better than everyone else, and this might not be the case. But if you are someone who has no intention of believing in anything, then I want you to go ahead and sit down and study. Then I want you to go ahead and open up the Bible and read the Bible, at least some of it. And then after, if you still don't believe, well, then you don't believe. But before you have conducted some kind of reason to why, as you not believe, to why you not believe, to why you don't believe, then I think it's ignorant to do so. I think it's
Yeah,
taking it from every angle, right? Go and study the different religions. Go and take the Bible in the hand. Go and
yeah,
see things, the right, the wrongs of the people who believe, the right, the wrongs of people who do not believe, the lifestyles, the perceptions, the wealth, the relationships, the
yeah,
health of people who first believe in God and two who don't believe in God. And then conduct, well, what do you want? Right? And I
yeah,
think it's about doing your own research. And then after that,
exactly.
conducting whether you don't or you do. But don't be ignorant
Yeah,
about it. I think it's an ego thing. Yeah.
yeah. And I absolutely agree. And I think that for those people who missed it, I'm just gonna point it once again out. What he said was the single biggest problem of today's society, and that word was ignorance.
Yes.
Ignorance will be the downfall of mankind because we are ignorant to, I mean, not necessarily, but if there is ever going to be something, it doesn't matter. Like, even if we imagine that there's going to be, and I'm not saying that that's the case, but just so we have a vivid example, um, even if there's going to be like a nuclear war is not the cause. Nuclear war is the effect of ignorance.
Yes. Yes.
So ignorance is the thing that I think people should be more afraid of, because and I think that the reason why you and I don't think we're ignorant is just because we have been humbled so many
Oh
fucking
yeah.
times
Oh, yeah.
that once you get schooled like proper amount of times by something so great, is like, yeah, I don't want to be ignorant because I just don't want to go through those same lessons again. I prefer to find myself in humility and being humble.
Yes. And that's why you see all of these huge wars, right? It's because of ignorance. Every war in every time ever has because someone was pissed off by the other king as to why he didn't like his idea or killed some of his men or took some of his
Yeah.
women's, right? Women. It's always been about ignorance and ego. So I think putting us. Oh, I heard a great thing. It has been stuck in my mind. I actually have. I think it's. I have no idea where it came from, but to be above men, you have to put yourself below them. And to be further than men, you have to put yourself behind them. You have to stay behind and observe and learn. Don't
Oh,
show.
nice.
Just don't go around and show them that you are what you're trying to make them perceive as who you are, but stay down and try to learn from them and then make some great connections. So to be above men, place yourself below them.
And that's actually a perfect introduction to my second lesson when I was
Nice. Go ahead.
reflecting of 2000 to the 2023 year. I have noticed that one of the huge parts, which actually is sort of correlated to the first one, is to that I attained the knowledge of the shadow, to
Yeah.
see my dark side, to see the things that I suppress, to see the things which I don't want people to see. And again, it ties back into knowing yourself and ignorance and literally everything we spoke about. And it is a concept. If anyone wants to do more research on the shadow side or on the shadow work, it is something that Carl Jung talks a lot about. Um, but the main point I'm trying to make is that a lot of times when we say we do impulsive moves, those impulsive moves are actually caused by our own shadow, because we don't actually want to admit to ourselves that that is a part of us and that is who we are. And by trying to ignore it, we just make it way worse. And
Yes.
I have heard, or I have read, or I have found out while I was reading Jung that one of the best things you can do is let your shadow self take the lead and allow it to guide you in the right direction, because it's, again, that is a part of you. And if you're trying to suppress it, all that happens is it comes out at every wrong possible time that there is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Deep down, you have beliefs, emotions, tendencies, things which you have yet no knowledge about. And if
And
they try to express
acceptance.
themselves, yes, if you if they try to express themselves and you don't acknowledge it and you just suppress them deeper, they're going to become like childhood trauma, right? They're going to dig down and dig down
Yeah.
and dig down, and they're going to absolutely haunt you to the rest of your days. So it's about picking those up and doing meditations, doing reflection on them, and say, well, how can they benefit me? How can they make
Exactly.
me worse?
It is
Absolutely. Your
one of the things
self-reflection.
is one of the things is people try to get rid of their bad habits, but they cannot do it because they perceive them as bad. But in
Yes.
reality, they're just part of the shadow, and they're trying to get rid of the shadow by banishing it. But that's not how you get rid of it.
Hmm.
One of the lessons, and this is not a part of my lessons of 2023, but just like generally, one of
Yeah.
the lessons I've learned that every bad habit, the way you get rid of it is by accepting it as a part of you. And in the same
Yes.
moment, in the same moment, you say,
Yes.
okay, this is me. I am not trying to get rid. I'm just gonna allow it. And the moment you say that, the moment you have pure love for that bad habit, you stop doing it. You just don't,
Yes.
because you
Yes.
finally understand that it's not serving you. And a very vivid
And
example for me. Yeah, go ahead.
it's about not putting any emotional status on it, right? It's about being neutral. Because if you have some kind of bad
Yeah,
habit that you think truly are bad, and you just put some kind of emotional negative feeling on it, then it's going to stick onto you. If you just
yeah,
put it in neutral mode and say it doesn't matter if it's part of me or if it's not part of me, then it's going to go away.
yeah. And a very vivid example which I have for people is that in my years of smoking weed, I've usually done like a month long break just to prove to myself that I'm not addicted. And
Yes.
without any trouble, I've done those months. But then about 2 years ago, I came to a point where I genuinely wanted to stop smoking and I couldn't. For the first time, I couldn't even go a week without it. And
Yes.
I was like, why? I used to be able to do a whole month. And I started to doubt myself. I was like, wait, am I truly addicted to it? And what happened was I tried and I tried and I tried and I could not stop. And at some point, and this is the funny part, right? At some point, I went and I said to myself, well, I guess it was not meant for me to stop. I'm just going to proceed doing it. From that day that I said that, and I truly felt it, I didn't smoke it anymore, like
Yeah.
for a year. And it was so funny because that's the day I realized that the only way for you to get rid of any bad habit, and I'm gonna hint also at things like semen retention or no fap, as people call it, even though that's a conversation for its own
Oh yeah.
podcast. But any sort of thing you deem impossible to stop, first of all, stop trying to stop it. And accept it and allow it to be a part of you, because that's the only way for you to truly, again, two keywords are allowance and acceptance,
Yes.
which is more or less the same, but accepting and allowing is the thing that's going to yield the result that you crave.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that almost ties perfectly into my second one.
Okay, go
But
ahead.
so my second one is perception is everything. How you perceive things is greater than what it in reality is. I've said this means time, worldview, the spiritual world, duality, even cold and heat. Um, how you feel and how other people think of you, you have no idea if you don't sit down with a person and ask him directly, what do you in reality feel about me? What do you think about me? You have no idea. Even though, and even then, you go around all day just thinking about people, how they perceive you. And a great quote from Think Like a Monk is, it is not how you perceive yourself you are, but it is how you think other people think of you,
Yeah,
right?
true that,
And that's
true
kind of
that.
it's you live in a perception of yourself. You live in a dusted mirror. You need to push it off. So perception is everything. If you think, and if you truly think, and a great thing, just a remarkable thing from Thinking Fast and Slow is the human brain cannot distinguish repetition from truth. which is mind-boggling. If you have 10 people around you saying enough times, enough for an enough period that the sky is green, then you are going to think that the sky is green. It's only because everyone says that the color blue is blue that the sky is blue, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So perception is everything, and when you can understand this, you can try and mold mold your perception as to what you believe is true. Like you said, your parents might believe that poverty and rich people are bad. Rich people aren't bad. Some are, but poor people are also bad. Like thieves are bad, but normal people can also be bad. It's all a perception. If you try to take these perceptions and change them and morph them, then you can truly believe what you want. You can say, I want to be rich or I want to be financially wealthy because of this and this and this, and it's good because of this and this and this. Like I can retire my parents, I can have freedom, I can live wherever I want, I can donate to charities, I can create projects that I'm proud of, whatever it might be. Right? You have
Yeah.
to make your own perceptions.
And just to sort of say, one of the if anyone wants to hold on to limitations, let me tell you the only limitation you should have: having no limitations. A period.
Yes.
Like if you're gonna have any limitation, let it be no limits.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, proceed.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I
That's
think I
it.
almost covered everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Perception is a
Yeah.
huge one.
Yeah, of course. Uh, so my third one, which is again sort of tied into the first two, and it's not
Yes.
truly a lesson, but I still wanted to put it in here, and that is, I will say that I shed 96% of the society's programming,
Yes.
and I would love to say that I did 100%, but the only reason why I don't want to say 100% is because I want to keep the possibility open that I can do more, and I don't want to
Yes.
close off to the idea that I'm perfect, right?
Yes.
And the reason why I
Saving
say
humility.
96, like I said, the reason why I say 96 is number one um, to to leave it, to leave the possibility open that there is still a lot for me to work on, but at the
Yes.
same time I truly believe that after I found myself, after I discovered my true self and my shadow, I also saw those things which are bestowed upon me by society, parents, friends, and my own perception, and only then could I truly escape those. And yeah, I think that the lesson here would actually be recognizing the society, or quote unquote, which I call normal, away from you. Because I truly
Yes.
believe that most, no, not most, all people are supremely unique and supremely capable, but they cannot escape the things which society puts onto them. And
Yes.
for that reason alone, we only have a few anomalies in the system,
Yes.
rather than the system understanding that there is nothing else but anomalies here.
Yes. Yes. That's right. Everyone is unique.
Yeah.
You can even take it from a superficial view of people might have different religions, different languages, different beliefs, different principles, different voices, different tones, different looks. Like no one looks the same. There can be
Yeah.
familiar, similar faces, but nobody is 100% identical to another person. Then you can go down deeper into the mind. What does this person believe, think? What do they like? What's their passions? How do they work? Their work ethic. Like then you can go down to the body. How does their physique look? What is their internal organs? How do they work? How healthy are they? Etc. Like it's so incredibly complex. Just how different we all are. So yes,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was more of a short one, so you can go
Yes,
ahead and go with your third.
nice. So we actually talked a little about this in the start, which so my third is knowledge is stored power, action is real power. So think of knowledge as an energy pool, a bubble of stored energy. But before it is applied, it will keep flowing around this pool. So a lot of people nowadays say that if you don't take any action, then it's bad, then it's bad, then it's bad. Well, not necessarily, right? Because you need to know what to do before you can do it. So if you have no idea how to
Mm-hmm.
run any business, then you can go ahead and do it. Now, yes, you can go ahead and try and fail and learn from that, which you absolutely should do. You should learn from failures. But before you have any stored energy in the form of knowledge, books, courses, videos, whatever, then you have no energy to go off of. If you want to know how to, let's say, sell, then you need, first of all, experience. Well, in selling is a huge one, experience, but know how to write a script, know how to read a script, know how to know psychology, human psychology. You should know the basic premise of things. And like I said, this is a pool of energy, a bubble of stored energy. But before it is applied to the real world, before it comes through the body and is forced out to the world, that energy just lies deep awake,
Yeah,
asleep.
yeah,
You need to cultivate
absolutely,
it.
absolutely.
Nice. So go ahead with your fourth one so we can keep it short and tidy.
So one of the other things, which again ties perfectly into what you just talked about, is actually solidifying your own personal vision and instilling the discipline that keeps you doing the habits and routines to achieve it. And the
Yes.
reason why that ties into it is because that is the point where you start to focus on input more than the output. Um,
Yes.
it's about the fact that, again, once you truly recognize who you are and you start to know thyself, then
Yes.
not only that you can start living authentically, but also you can actually get in touch with the end goal which you were put here to do, because
Yes.
each and every one of us was placed here for a reason. We all have
Yes.
our own purpose. And people, so I recently I talked to one of my friends, and she said that she constantly finds her purpose, but it's never the right one. And I'm like, yeah, or no, she actually said that she then has to switch it. And I'm like, yeah, because you never truly found your right purpose. Because when
Yes.
you're going to find your right purpose, you're not going to have to switch it because it's going to be the thing.
Yes.
And yeah, my point is the once you know yourself and once you do all of that, then you can start to see why you're here, and you can start to create a vision which is more or less long-term goals. But a vision is basically a worthy ideal. And when Earl Nightingale defined success, he said that success is a steady realization of a worthy ideal. And
Yes.
the reason why I think that is the best definition of success is because that is a formula, not a variable, which is also something that we strive to teach in Anomaly Incubator, to
Yes.
teach the formula, not the variables. Because if we can just achieve our mission of conveying the formula, then
Yes.
what will happen is it doesn't matter who receives the formula, as long as they know who they are, they just need to insert their own variables into the formula and they will
Yes.
get the result. So if the result that you're seeking is success, then the formula is a steady progression towards a worthy ideal. And you have to define what the worthy ideal is, or whether you have to find the vision. And once you have it, as long as you're moving towards it, it is okay. And if you're on the one thing I also need people to understand is if you're not moving, you're getting behind, because nothing ever
Yes.
stops, everything always
Yes.
moves. For
Yes.
that reason, if you stopped, you are not um, basically at the same place, but you're actually falling behind. And one of the things I have, this is like one of the things I was just thinking today, but when people ask me, what is it that you're afraid of? I have a few different answers, but one of the answers I really want to provide here, I fear stagnation. There is not a
Yes.
lot of things I fear, but stagnating and not moving forward is what I fear.
Yes. And
Yeah,
I think a lot of people think that not I think a lot of people think that doing inaction, so not doing anything, is stagnating, because and that's extremely wrong, because taking the time to meditate and not doing anything, just not doing anything, sitting and brainstorming, allowing your brain to think, coming up with ideas. Today also my part-time job, and I got the just an amazing thought. I took a piece of paper and wrote it down. Write it down, write it down, write it down. That's a principle for life. As Brian Tracy says, write it down, write it down, write it down. When you catch a
yeah,
thought, write it down. So, yes, but I think you also have to define. Oh my God.
yeah. What happened? I don't know.
You have to define what inaction is, right?
Yeah. Is everything all right on your side? What
Yeah,
happened?
it's my dog. It's going
Oh,
absolutely
oh, yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, no worries if it's your dog. I like for a second, I thought that I don't know, something cut out, or yeah, it's no problem. Uh, but yeah, go on. Did you have anything else to say?
Yes, stagnation is it's not a possibility, because if you're not moving forwards, well, then you're moving down. And I think you can take it in every aspect, right? If you have a business and you stop working, in a few weeks, well, it might have cash flow now, but in a few weeks, when the operations are quote unquote stagnating, it's going down rapidly and it's going down exponentially.
Yeah.
This
So
is with
people can
everything.
imagine if you are moving at the speed of 100 kilometers an hour, and then not moving at all should be equal to going backwards at 100 kilometers an hour, and going backwards should be considered as 200 kilometers an hour. So if you're not doing anything, it is equal magnitude as if you would go forward, but in a negative direction. And then if you're actually moving into the negative direction, it's actually twice as fast of the
Yes.
degeneration or disintegrating.
Yes, because it takes a long time to build something up, but you can lose it just like that.
Fast. Oh hell yeah! Oh
Yeah.
hell yeah!
You can lose,
Uh,
and that's why you have to stay true to yourself, right? You can be on a great diet and a great training regimen for years and years and years, but once you fall short, or once you fall into that one thing, it can crumble your whole world, and it goes down and down and down and down and down. You see it all of the time, right? Someone having been free from nicotine or caffeine or
yeah,
fast food or something of the sort, and then they have that one meal or they have that
yeah,
one
yeah,
craving, and it just goes to absolute
yeah.
hell. So you
That's
have to stay
why.
true.
That's why I think that things like 75 hard or like 90-day challenge or things like
Yes,
those are the worst.
it has to be lifetime.
Because yeah, because yeah, exactly, what any of the listeners and even us, but we already embody that, what you should be striving for is like, for instance, when you let's just give a simple example, right? When you say biohacking and we say proper diet and things like that, that's
Yes,
not a temporary thing. That is something we live for. Like
yes,
our our lifestyle has become that of a biohacker, which means that it really doesn't matter if I achieve my ideal physique within 2 years.
Yes.
Never in my life will I stop, because the moment I start being a loser. So
Yes.
success is a lifestyle. Success, being a successful person is a lifestyle, not
Yes, it
an
is.
achievement.
Yes. And it's a skill. Being successful
Yeah,
is a skill. You can see
exactly.
Grant Cardone, to take an awesome example. He went undercover, uh, literally with no money on the street, and he built what, a 4 million or 2 million something business in like 60 days because he had that skill set. He just knew what to do based off knowledge, experience, and the skills that he has. So yes, it's not a one-time thing, right? It's a lifetime thing. If you're planning to become healthy, you're not planning to become healthy for a year to then go back and have the risk of getting diabetes again.
Yeah,
It's a lifetime thing. And it's that with everything, right? You have to establish long-term things because they accumulate, they compound.
yeah, exactly. Okay, go ahead with your next lesson. I think you're
So
at
my next
number
lesson,
5.
number five, yeah. Black out of number four before. So
Oh
don't
yeah,
be
sorry,
afraid.
yeah.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to be the black sheep. Stand out. And here I wrote in recitations, meditate. Think for yourself, stand out of the crowd, and be weird and different. How else do you
Amazing.
expect to achieve anything than a standard, right? This is again, you are the average of the five people you're around. If you go with the crowd, you go with the stream, with the flow, with everyone else, how in the world do you expect to achieve anything less than what they have? Then you have to think, well, do I want what they have? And if the answer is no, why are you with those people, right?
Yeah. So
Stand out, the black
I
sheep.
want to throw something in here just real quick,
Yes,
and it is the evolution of the sentence which you've said, or the idea, and that is that you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend most of your time with.
yes,
So I want to give you a quick evolution of the idea, a quick lecture on it, and that is, um, when I first heard about that idea, I understood it, and I was like, yeah, yeah. And then I remember watching Andrew Kirby.
yes,
I think that's the guy who said that in today's day and age, you're actually the sum total of the 5 uh, producers
oh yes,
whose
influences. Yes,
whose content you're watching. And then I was like, yeah, yeah, that's a good one. So now let me give you the third step of the evolution, which I had not too long ago, and that is, it actually doesn't matter the source of the input, but basically you are the sum total of the 5 greatest influences or
yes,
inputs in your life. So it doesn't
yes,
matter person, book, content,
yes,
podcast. You are the 5 things that you listen to, the 5 inputs. And again, and listen, it can literally be as something as subtle as eating McDonald's. If you
yes,
always eat McDonald's, that's what you are. That's
yes.
what you are. So yeah, it is 5 inputs that shape you. So yeah, proceed with your thought.
Absolutely. And this goes back to the thought of information. Your environment, information, people, books, information like knowledge in all, right? It programs your subconscious. And one thing I find extremely fascinating, I think I read it in what maybe thinking fast and slow. Every single micro sound in your entire spectrum of hearing ability will program your subconscious mind because the brain is so active. We still have a reptile brain, right? We need to always assure the brain that we are safe and we can relax. So it will always be active in the forms of, am I in a safe environment? Am I in a safe place to rest? And if you are not, then the brain goes super active. Then it goes on and says, what can be some threats in the area? How can we either eliminate them or get away from them, right? Fight or flight mode. every single thing, information, thought, songs is a huge one. These Demius songs, I don't listen to songs.
Yeah,
It's a
and
principle.
people are also very ignorant to the fact that
Oh yes,
music shapes them. So yeah,
oh yes, yes. You man, and this is not to paint some kind of perception of anybody, but if you only listen to, let's say, ghetto music, you're going to be more inclined to be a ghetto boy or a ghetto woman, get ghetto girl. Is that is that simple? Is that simple? Because that's human nature. It's human
yeah,
psychology.
of course. And the sentence which basically encapsulates the idea is birds of a feather flock together.
Yes, yes,
So what you consume is what you are. So
yes. Great.
yeah.
Let's go ahead. Take your fifth one.
Yeah, so the next one I have is the transcend. So I learned to transcend the duality within.
Yes,
Um, we are living in a dual universe where everything, has its own opposite. The reason for existence is its own contrast.
yes,
I don't know if you read.
yes,
Oh yeah, you did read the
yes,
realities beyond physical that I wrote.
yes,
So in there, I explained that the reason for existence is contrast. And when it comes to the physical, that is the nature of the physical realm. It is duality. But when it comes to your internal, it gets a little bit more complicated. I have not yet been able to grasp the idea to uh, crystallize it into either a recording or a text, but I'm just slowly getting into it. But
yeah,
the lesson was that by knowing both extremes, or the knowledge of both extremes is what brings you to the ultimate truth of reality.
yes,
So for instance, let me give a very simple, very vivid example. If you have a coin, you cannot know the coin if you only know one side. For you to know the
yes,
coin, you have to know both sides. And only by knowing both sides or both extremes, you can know the coin. And
yes,
once you know both sides, both extremes, you are awakened to the reality of that which is the coin. And a coin or anything else cannot exist without its opposite. There
yes,
is no possible way for anything to exist without its perfect opposite. And getting back to the lesson is I have created, or I have brought hell on earth into the in the beginning of everything. So I went into the very bottom of hell and transformed the hell into heaven from inside out. That
yes.
is that for those people who are further along on their path. I think that this one's gonna hit them hard because I have thrown a few insights which some people or a lot of people will not be able to
Oh
actually
yes,
understand.
oh yes,
But let me elaborate just a little bit for those people who are on the verge of experiencing that. And that is, people are usually talking about how there is heaven on earth or hell on earth. And we go back to your lesson on perception, and that is, you realize that whatever a person is experiencing is what they will define this as, right? So
yes,
if a person is living a good life and everything's working out for them, then they're gonna say, "Yeah, I'm having heaven on earth." But the problem is with that sort of people is they're living heaven on earth one day, and the next day something can go wrong, and
yes,
all of a sudden the same the same earth all of a sudden becomes hell on earth.
yes,
So for that reason, That's why I mentioned duality and transcending it. I have artificially created the worst of the worst, the hell on earth, and then by accepting it and by doing the work, I have turned the hell from
Yes.
the very bottom into heaven.
Yes.
So, for my personal experience, there is now no more difference. There is no more duality when it comes to heaven or hell. Regardless of what happens, it will just be the experience.
Yes. And to put it into a clear example, I think we can even boil it down to this thing. The reason you live now and the reason you enjoy, well, the reason you don't commit any kind of suicide now is because you like to live before you're going to lie in a basket. If you were never going to die, then why would you live? If there was internal life, then you would have no reason to live. And it's like we can even put it against the both spectrums of the coin. A very, very fit, healthy person and a very, very overweight, obese person. If there was only healthy, fit people, then that wouldn't be a thing. That would just be the norm. That would just be the standardized thing.
No, no, it wouldn't be at all. No one would ever, like, no one could even know that health exists if there would be no
Yes,
sickness.
that's
That
it.
is also there. That's also why I really don't like people. Like, I accept them, but I don't like the perspective or perception, which is people who are chasing happiness, who want to be
Oh yes,
happy, or who are like, I always want to feel happy. And I always
yes,
say, no, no, you do not want that. I like, please trust me on that. Because if you are always happy, then you would never be happy. You would
yes,
just be. And that's why I adore things as depression and sadness and things like that, because when they come, they truly show you what you had prior to them. And once
yes,
you return to those things like happiness and other things, you are so much more grateful for it.
yes. And this is, of course, not to promote any kind of depression or
Yeah, yeah,
anything,
of course, of
but
course.
it's showing the contrast, right?
Yeah, contrast.
It's like getting out of a relationship, and they said, and the person who was getting broken up with said, what was it? I never knew what I had until it was gone,
Yeah,
right? I never knew how good this person was to me before he was gone because you
yeah,
take it for granted when it is standardized, when it's just
yeah,
is in your life.
yeah,
That's the kind of thing that I wanted will try to to get across. But
yeah,
awesome. So if we're done with the topics, let me go ahead and read my fifth one.
yeah,
And this yeah. Well we have almost al- we've almost already gone over almost everything, but I have this one. Establish good long-term national and international relationships slash seek mentors. Your network is your power. The people you can connect with and trust and build bonds with is the thing which will push you past your limits. Establish good relationships, and I have people who are better in a field which you want to grow in, people who can push you to become a better person every single day,
yeah,
people who are on the same wavelength as you are and intend to grow. This has
yeah,
spun before like thousands of years. That's the reason why I have a teacher, parents, friends who are older than you. You need someone to guide you to what at least their perception, going back to perception, is of the world, which will be able make you able to kind of perceive the world in your own manners. You have to get mentors in the kind of subjects, topics which you want to excel in. And you can't just do
yeah,
it alone. Yes, you can find
of
information
course.
all over the internet, but that's from other people as well. You have
Yeah,
to
but
get to know
people
other people.
people need to understand the importance of actually being very, very, very careful who they choose to be that person,
Oh
because
yes.
just because someone is on the freaking internet charging $10,000 an hour, that doesn't mean that he is quality. That doesn't mean you should listen to him, because in today's day and age, most people are faking their own achievements. It's never been easier to fake your own lifestyle and your own
Oh
everything,
yes,
more or less. So when it comes to choosing a mentor, a teacher, not like I can't stress this enough, but please, for the love of God, find, like, truly search for someone that is going to be quality, and that you actually do a hell of a lot of research. And prior, like,
yes,
listen to me, prior to you getting a mentor, find yourself first, because you cannot know
yes,
who is going to be a good mentor for you if you don't know what you want and who you are. And the reason for that is because, like, let me give you a very practical example again. So my mom absolutely loves me and she wants the best for me,
yes.
but I can't listen to
That's
her
perception of her.
advice.
Yes,
Yeah, I can't listen to her advice because she hasn't done the things that, like, for instance, I can listen
yes,
to her when it comes to cooking, and when it comes to, I don't know, maybe even doing certain aspects for relationships, even though that's already where it gets banned. But I can't take advice on investing in crypto or managing my money, because she just doesn't, like, she's not the right person.
yes,
So a long, long time ago, I have made a decision that I'm only going to listen to people who have achieved what I strive to do. That is
yes,
why most of my mentors are in form of books and in form of, or are already dead, because I have found that if you cultivate a skill of talking to some, and this is again an idea I got from Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill. um, what, how did he already call it, the invisible council, I think it was. um, and it's basically the
oh
idea
yes,
that, yeah, it's basically the idea that you can genuinely talk to the people who are already dead if you just know them so well enough
yeah,
that you know what they would say in the questions that, like, for instance, one of the people that I've studied in great depth is Miyamoto Musashi, because I
yeah,
just wanted to understand his discipline, and he is a great inspiration to me. And I have studied him to an extent where every time I'm faced with a decision, I can just go into a deep meditation where I shape him in front of me and I counsel him uh, for the answer. And that's why, again, that you choosing the right mentors, like for me, are Steve Jobs, Miyamoto Musashi, Nikola Tesla, and others like those. It's very important. Be very, very
yes,
mindful of who you choose to listen to.
yes. And this goes again back to the perception in the start of this principle
Yeah,
was people can fake their life or their achievements so much because it's just online. Everything
yeah,
is a huge one, which also said like in the start, trust between these relationships.
yeah,
Go and we've almost cut it out in like a chronological step. Find yourself first, find God if that's something you want to. Then you can start to find relationships and partners,
yeah,
books, and etc. information. But yes, trust, you need to have immense trust with these people that they don't lie and that they want the best for you and don't just want your money, right?
yeah,
And that's a
yeah.
huge part. Go and research these people, go and understand where they're coming from,
Exactly.
where their deep intentions are, right?
Exactly.
What they actually want out of you.
What is their incentive that
Yes,
they're helping you? Because if it's only money, then what the fuck are you doing with them?
yes, yes. They need to have. You can kind of go off the principle that they have to be wealthy enough, so they don't need to take you on to
Yeah,
live a very good life, right? So they do it
like,
out of authentic
yeah, genuine help.
intention.
Yeah,
Yes.
And
Awesome.
again, try to not go for people who are faking it.
Yes. Go ahead, man. What's your sixth
Six.
one?
Yeah, we are choosing between 6 and 9, and I'm already starting to see that
Yeah.
6 would be already more than enough.
Yes.
But look, I think that if we can deliver a good, I don't know, 3 4 hour podcast on this, is going to be more than valuable. So yeah, my sixth lesson would be uh, okay. So the sixth lesson for me in 2023 was learning how to transmute energy.
Yes.
And it was about the thing that I mentioned to you in the previous lesson. I sort of have my lessons structured in chronological order, and not only chronological, but also in a way where they complete each other. But as I mentioned, I synthesized and I artificially produced hell, and I did it by, putting myself into great amounts of negative emotions and things like that. And the lesson, which appeared after a long time, don't get me wrong, I had to go through it. I had to go through a lot of things to get to it. Was
Yeah.
I attained the ability to handle massive, like tremendous amounts of negatively charged energy and
Yes.
transmute it into the energy which would be beneficial for me. Now, the
Yes.
reason that this works is because energy can't be created nor destroyed, it can only be transmuted.
Oh, yes. 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 Absolutely.
So, for that reason, I allowed it, I embraced it, and
Yes.
so this is one this I previously I meant not too long ago I mentioned the first fear that I have that I usually answer with, and now I'm going to mention the second fear I have in my
Yes.
life. And the second fear is not feeling anything at all. That is
Oh, yeah.
something I'm very much afraid of, because I would
It's a
prefer
black
to
hole.
fear. I would prefer, yeah, exactly. It's a void.
Yes.
And I would prefer to feel negative emotions, because at least I
Yes.
can transmute them into positive than
Yes.
feel nothing at all. Because that basically means you're freaking dead, if we're
Yes.
honest. Um, but yeah, I allowed those feelings, I embraced them, and I attained the ability, I possess the ability to transmute it into anything which I desire,
Yes.
with the great point. I don't know what else to call it. That not identifying with those feelings is the way to go. So
Yes. That's
as
us
long
again
as,
coming back to neutral, right?
yeah, so it's like, don't ever say I am sad or I am
Yes.
depressed. Always
Yes.
say I am feeling sad or I am feeling depressed, because that
Yes.
literally tells your subconscious and unconscious that there is a momentary experience which you're just for some reason experiencing, and it's going to go away very soon.
Yes. So I have two huge things of this. Let's go with the smaller one first.
Yeah.
You have to define what negative and positive is. Now, not in this setting, but people out here need to define what positive and negative is. Like I talked with you on one of our earlier calls, was positive. Don't it doesn't have to mean being content and being happy and dancing
Yeah.
around it, like it doesn't have to be contentment all the time. Like I have defined my positive as any task or action or meditation or reading or studying or research, whatever it might be, but anything that will push me further along to my end goal is positive for me. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
negative for me is not feeling bad, because feeling bad to many people may be depressed or anxious or whatever, but feeling bad to me is just
Pointing
going
out
back
that
again.
something that you're not doing right.
Yes, stagnation, which doesn't
Yeah.
exist, going down. So doing any action which will not or even push me further back from my goal is negative to me. If the if having the feeling of depression will move me further along to my goal, well, then it might be profitable to do so. But then you also have to define depression, right? Depression is a vague topic because depression can go into various forms. But that's why you have to form your negative and positive. That's the kind of point I'm trying to get across.
Yeah.
Second
So
one
so
is
yeah, before you
go
start, I'm
ahead.
just gonna fill you in. So I want to just say this and then you can go ahead. So
Yeah.
be careful mistaking an easy life for a good life,
Yes.
because an easy life is often unfulfilling
Yes, of
and the
course.
hard life is often the good life. And
Yes.
what Seb was trying to say is don't chase things that are um, I want to
Instant
say
gratification
unfulfilled,
almost.
yeah, instant gratification, but also in a sense where I would prefer, like, if we, okay, I have, I have an example. So
Go ahead.
most people will be able to relate to this, but when you go to uh, fitness, or when you go and do some heavy exercise,
Yes.
you are basically inflicting pain onto your
Oh yes.
muscles because
Huge.
you are basically destroying them.
Yes.
But you understand, so let's say that someone wouldn't understand how fitness and training works, and they would go to fitness, and next day they would feel like exhausted, and
Yes.
the
So
muscles would be so, yeah, and they would be like, ah, this is not good for your body because I feel bad. It's like, no.
yeah,
But do you get it? Like, I mean, I know
absolutely.
you get it. I'm asking other people. It's like, do you understand me that pain is what gives us growth.
Oh yes.
Destruction is what yields growth. So
Yes.
it's this. So this is again pointing something out. When I say God, I can also say it in a way where the word God is actually a acronym, and it stands for generation or generating, order, and destruction, because that is the cycle we go through. God stands for generating, ordering, and destruction.
Yeah.
Again, simple, quick example. If there is a building and it's been there for 50 years, it has to be destroyed prior to new building being there. And
Yes.
that building had to be built at some point. And when people moved in, lived their lives inside of it, that was the order phase. And now that it's
Yeah.
getting destroyed to be replaced with a new one, it is the destruction. And that is the
Yes.
cycle everything goes through. So
Yes.
don't fear negative, don't fear that which can hurt you or inflict pain, because it usually is the thing that will yield the biggest results when it comes to your growth.
Yes. Adversity is the
Yeah.
pinnacle. You hear everyone talk about it. Growth is in being at that point where it's extremely difficult. Because if you're just in the zone where you know how to do something, you're not going to
Comfort.
grow,
Yeah.
right? You're not going to grow. Yeah. So you can even get the comfort zone. Comfort zone. You have to step out of it. But you have to in reality step. So in the way of the superior man, there's a chapter called "Live Just Beyond Your Edge,"
Yeah.
which is basically live just at the most productive edge of your comfort zone. Because if you step too much out, it can even be destructive,
Yeah. That's
right?
also the
So you
same
have to
idea
find your
from the flow, the book Flow, right?
yeah.
By Mihaly. He literally says the way to achieve flow is by going to the
Oh
exact
yes,
edge where oh shit, I can't remember the exact words, but it's basically where fun and challenge meet. It's
yes,
where basically you are challenging yourself enough for it to still be fun, and but you're
yes.
gonna grow, so it's going just a little bit out of your comfort zone. And yeah, it's the same thing that you just said. So yeah, go on.
So the second one, which is kind of like an abstract big one, I want people to take in this. It's not a mindset, but it's a perception of how you output, right? Input energy into something, which will produce something in return. Energy cannot be made or it cannot be destroyed. It's only transferred, right? So let's take the energy that you input into something right now. that energy has come from the nutrients, the food you have eaten. But those foods, where did they get the energy from? Well, the soil, the earth, the water, the sunshine, which they got from the ground. And what, well, then you can say, well, what is the energy from, what energy is being transferred from something and over to the sun, and then giving the sun energy to the plant, and then giving the plants energy to us, and then us giving energy into something else. When all of that happens, when we put energy into business, then that might grow. The energy is being transmuted into that.
Yeah.
The energy of the business generates you revenue, cash flow, and that cash flow gives you ability to do something else on a higher scale, right? That's more energy. It's
Yeah.
all energy cannot be destroyed or created. It only comes from another source. And once you truly understand this, you just then you can say, okay, with the right amount of sleep and the right nutrition for me, and the right exercise for me, the right air and water quality for me, I can get more. I can extract more of this
Yeah.
good energy, which I can then put into what I want to
Yeah.
pursue. Yeah.
So the one thing I should or you should mention to people is also that they still need to understand that, for instance, when you put energy into watching entertainment or watching The Big Bang Theory, or, and I'm
Yes.
not saying that those shows are bad by any stretch of the imagination. I'm trying to make a point that when you are watching those things, you are expending energy in
Oh
the
yes.
direction of
Oh
those who
yes.
created it. So if you're watching someone on YouTube, it's not like you are preserving energy. No, your time, attention, and energy are basically going to that person who created the content.
Yes.
It's not that innocent.
Oh yeah. And when you look at stuff like that, your brain is hyper stimulated. Numerous things. If you want to relax as an exercise, then you need to meditate or just do nothing. And that's again extracting almost the energy of silence into your brain so you can think better, more clearly at
Yeah.
another time. Well, let me go ahead and make my last point because everything we've gone over has almost covered all of my rest points. So the last principle I want to introduce to the people out here watching is a healthy mind is a healthy body and vice versa. But you have to take this a step further. Yin and yang, yang yin, the body and the mind. Take and go ahead and take spirituality with it. So it's mind, body, and spirit. These three have to be in conjunction. They have to be, so you can say
The
a
Holy
healthy
Trinity.
mind, body, spirit. A healthy mind is a healthy body, and a healthy body is a healthy spirit, and a healthy spirit is a healthy mind, etc., etc., etc. But without one of them, they cannot live in conjunction. You have to have them all playing in the right elements, in the right things, in the right amount to be your most productive, authentic self, to
Yeah.
live in this flow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was kind of my last one. So tell me,
So
go ahead and elaborate on your stuff.
so did you create 9 lessons, or did you only do 6?
I have 10, but everything
Oh,
we've
okay,
gone over
okay,
have
okay.
just covered everything.
Well, it doesn't really matter. I still want you to communicate your points across, right?
Yeah.
So, did you say that you want me to do the seventh one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Uh, right. The seventh one is the one that I've experienced very recently, literally a few days ago. And that
Yeah.
is, I've learned what it actually means to pull the trigger on your dreams and your desires, what it actually means to embody them and live them out, to live
Yes.
from within so that you can experience them from without. And again, as above, so below, as within, so without, but let's not go into that.
Yes.
My point is, I remember we were talking prior to the New Year's Eve, and I told you that I'm going to do the reflection and everything. And I remember that I had that nasty feeling like I have so many, years prior to this one, I said, this is going to be my year, this is blah, blah, blah. But I never felt what I felt this year, which was actually pulling the trigger. And that's something that I can't make a lesson out of it, but I can bring awareness to it. And to the people who think they have already pulled the trigger and who think that they have committed with their life to the things they want, I tell you, you didn't, because if you would have them. And again, the level of commitment is going to be the thing that decides how much life energy, life force
Yes.
you put into the thing that you want to bring to reality. And again, I started to experience the thing within going without. So
Yes.
that's just a pointer rather than a lesson. I mean, it's a lesson for me, but I cannot convey it. That's something that has to be experienced.
Yes. And
Yeah,
this
that's it.
it ties into the mind, the body, the spirit, the environment, the information,
Yeah,
the energy storages, and the energy output or input, how you want to perceive it, doing something, a task, extracting your energy out. So my seventh one is a silent mind is a powerful mind. Think for
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
You can see it. You can see it across every great historical figure. Meditate and be in silence. This is only where you can truly harness your true power and potential. Um, Meditation says it. Great ruler said it. Think like a monk is literally the first principle. If you want to learn anything, sit and meditate. If you just around all of this noise, all of like every single second of the day, then you don't have any thoughts or experiments in your head or even any time to sit and think for yourself. It's extremely, extremely destructive to your mind. You can't embrace any ideas, any creativity, and you can't get any ideas. You don't have any time to talk to yourself. These people don't have time to talk to yourself. Sitting in silence and meditating is a huge one. A principle which we can kind of go into is
yeah.
20 to
And
30 minutes in nature
I-
or in nothing every day, just sitting in silence can greatly benefit your mind and your thought patterns and or ideas and creativity.
yeah, it's literally what Alan Watts said, right?
Yeah.
A person who thinks all the time can think about anything else but thoughts. And I
Yes.
was like, yo, that one hit me like
Yes.
very hard. And again, not all people will be able to grasp it at this point, but I hope that at some point you're going to be like, I see what they meant.
Yes.
And the funny thing that's been happening ever since we started this call is the synchronicity of our lessons, because
Oh, yeah.
each and every
It's a good one.
lesson, because what you just said, that's your number 7, I basically have in a different form in number 8.
Yes.
It's so
Yeah.
amazing. So I'm just gonna throw it in there and we can discuss it further. But my 8th lesson is I've gotten to know solitude, and losing all that I care about. It taught me that you came into this world alone and you will leave this world alone. So getting
Yes.
used to deep, deep solitude is of absolute necessity.
Oh,
And it
yes.
is single handedly the most important thing to be able to do is to be with yourself without any input at all,
Yes.
having physical reality as a constant so that you can experience everything else.
Yeah. But I will say this to the people out here that will be hard.
Oh, yeah,
A, a
absolutely.
human, basic human need is literally to be in a tribe, right?
Yeah,
To get feedback from other people. So this detaching yourself is going to be extremely hard, not only
and,
for the fact,
and
not
painful.
only on yeah, not only for the fact that you have to think for yourself, right? That
Yeah,
you actually have to sit with your own thoughts, but you just have no communication. You only have yourself. But it's a skill because there are going to be times in your life where you have to concentrate in solitude and you have to think and you have to go into these monk mode cycles of just monastic focus and attention to one project. And if you have too much outside influence, it's going to harm you significantly,
Yeah,
time
and it's
wise,
also going to
focus wise.
influence the true essence of it. So, for
Yes.
instance, right, if you have an input, it's going to influence the output. And if you were
Oh,
inspired
yes.
to create an idea to bring something into existence, if you will disturb the natural flow of it, it's going to be hindered. It's not going to be as beautiful. It's as if you wouldn't get into your own way. Wink, wink.
Let me go ahead and elaborate on my 8 points then, because this ties perfectly into everything we're going on by
Okay.
now. Control your environment and information. Your
Yeah.
circle, information, your space, your surrounding, your cleanliness. A great thing from Benjamin Franklin. He was just a master at setting schedule. He was a master of scheduling things and setting his
Yeah.
daily routines. And he had 12 points, which I reckon everyone going to read about 12 or 13 points. And one of them was cleanliness.
Yeah.
Cleanliness. Your environment needs to be clean. If you, and this goes back to the point of how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
But being clean, having a clean desk, having a clean sheet, clean your sheets, getting new underwear on, getting hopping in the shower, it's so powerful to your mental side, and it will transform your whole work inside. If you're dirty in some place, you're going to be dirty in your business. That's how it is.
Yeah. And it's also for those people who are familiar with, uh, I don't want to say the wrong word, but um, mm, let's just say the general ideas of divine and spirituality, then those people are already aware that if you are trying to come to the knowledge, to attain the knowledge of God or of anything higher than us, then it's not only the negative you need to banish, but also the positive. And that's the thing
Mhm.
that you said, right? It's the neutral that allows us to see the true essence. Because people think that the only thing in their way of getting whatever they want or whatever is negative, but in reality it's also positive because you think that you're basically uh, presenting your own idea of something which you don't know. So for you to know it, you have to remove everything, even the positive.
Yes, it's being in that non-attached. You can't attach any emotion to anything, right? It's being in this neutral state. And this is not to say that you should just let things happen to you by accident, but you should look at everything at a neutral point, because you see people being too attached to anything, and this is especially true in relationships. You get too attached, and your life almost crumbles if he leaves you or she leaves you, and that shouldn't happen. That's Then you don't have any control over yourself. Then you are just merely
Absolutely.
relying on external circumstances to make you happy, which is the biggest mistake in the world.
Yeah.
You control your own thought and your own emotions, and that's why putting it's not a gray zone, but it's a neutral zone. It's being
Yeah.
not too influenced by it. It's making your own decision and conducting your own research about it, right?
Yeah. It's not one nor the other. It's both, but none of them at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Have you got anything to go over more?
Well, I have my last lesson.
Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, Serving God is serving yourself, is
Yes.
serving people, is serving all.
Yes.
And I know this is not a discussion about God, but seeing that the existence is indifferent to it, my personal experience has led me to see that we are all one and the separation is an illusion. So,
Yes.
going back to one of the first things which you said that you should have believe into something higher than yourself, and let's say, for
Yes.
instance, that it is God. For those people who don't want that, I will just point you out to the illusion of separation and that we are all one. And I'm sure you already heard it. So when you are serving yourself, you're also serving God. And of course,
Yes.
we are talking about your true, authentic self, not
Yes.
your ego. So you
Finding
cannot
yourself.
serve yourself if you don't know yourself. You
Yes.
cannot serve yourself if you think that please don't twist my words and say to someone like, oh, I robbed the bank because I wanted to serve myself. Like, no, that's not what I mean.
No,
It
of course
is
not.
yeah, but again, I don't want my words to be twisted, but
Yes.
it's it's about the fact that, for instance, once I went through this whole journey, it's every action that I took was not only for the good of others, but at the same time, or for the good of me, because um, again, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So
Yes.
if you do good unto others, then others will do good unto you as long as you
Yes.
don't demand it from them. And
Yes.
people think that it is a, I think that the word or the term I'm searching for is a linear process, but it's not. If you, because what can happen is that you will do thousand good deeds and get nothing in return. But
Yes.
if you're gonna turn evil, quote unquote, or if you're gonna turn negative, then you're gonna just remove them all and they're gonna be meaningless. Rather, for instance, one of the big things for me this year, which I already think I mentioned in the sleep podcast, was I want to serve others and I want to give myself to others selflessly.
Yes.
And I don't expect anyone to even say thank you.
Yes.
I don't care, because all I'm trying to do is help people and serve them without expecting anything in return.
Yes.
Uh, Purely working on the knowledge that I attained that every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Yes. It's again going back to the law of reciprocity. What you do unto others will come back to you. And I want to focus, I want to take in on the whole premise of what we've been talking about, because this entire discussion has been more about the inner emotions and how you should live your life in terms of how you should see the world and how you should believe and how um you should kind of conduct yourself.
Well,
We haven't gone into habits or sleep or
yeah.
nutrition. We've only gone into the effects of them, right? The positive effects.
And
Um
I just want to say, this is not, we, at no point, even when um, either one of us says that you should do something, again,
yes.
we are not telling you what to do. We are,
Yes.
first of all, explaining our own experience, but
Yes.
it is on you to find what works for you and what doesn't.
Yes.
I don't like, nor me nor Seb wants you to, wants to teach you how or what to think. We are here to help you
Find it in yourself.
see how to think, right?
Yes.
So it's about giving you tools to work with, but
Yes.
not basically telling you everything, because then there would be no fun for you. So I think that between me and Seb, the amount of knowledge we are not. I mean, in the first two parts, it's already already been insane, but
Oh
just
yeah.
what's coming, right? It is
Yes.
so much, but it's not for you, for us to tell you this is how you should live. It's
No, of
about
course not.
sharing our own variables and
Yes.
hoping to, number one, explain the formula well enough that you can see it, and number two, for you to see the formula and then do it yourself. So it's not like you should do any of the things that we said. It's more about helping you think and see things from a different perspective.
And let me drill that in. Let me drill that in with a perfect example.
Please, please do.
In As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, he says that you cannot teach a man anything. You can only
Yeah,
make him realize it in himself. So
yeah,
hopefully you have gone through all of this information, which is just our perception of the world, going back to perception.
yeah.
But take the gold nuggets in this video and then let those open the corridors of the temple of knowledge that you have in yourself, because you already know this. You
Yeah.
just need some kind of key to unlock it and actually take action on it. So
Yeah.
it dwells deep in anyone who's watching this, but you just need to take what can be effective to you and go and experiment.
Yeah.
So it's been an absolute pleasure.
Finding out for yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, do you have a ninth lesson, or did you already elaborate on it?
Yes, I already have. I don't have something set in stone, but I want people to know that the information around you is how you live. So you need to go and control that first of all. But you should base your own opinions, beliefs, actions around yourself. You can watch this and take the gold nuggets, and that's hopefully what we're here for, to give you value.
Yeah.
But you have to find it yourself. That's truly it. You have to find it
Yeah.
yourself.
So, if we draw a bottom line, first of all,
Yes.
from my perspective, it would be the order. So, number one is to know who you are. Number
Yes.
two, to know what you're suppressing, what your dark side is.
Yes.
Number three, to see the difference between that which you truly are and that which other people told you that you are.
Yes.
Number four, to actually start. How did you say it, Seb? You said to actually start finding a higher power to guide you.
Oh, yeah, how do I say that? You need to find some kind of higher power to be accountable to.
Accountable
So
to. Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. And then everything beyond that, I think, is already truly uh, for those people who already know who they are and who have attained the knowledge of themselves. So the ability to master transmutation of energy, the transcending of duality,
Yes.
um, except one lesson which was mentioned at the end. For you it was number 7, for me it was number 8, that is solitude. For
Yes.
those people who do not know, or I know that it's very hard because those people who don't know themselves um, don't know that they don't know because they are unaware.
Yes.
Um, but again, for everyone listening, solitude is the savior. Silence is the savior. So
Yes.
go into it and be there. Enjoy the pain. Enjoy the
Yes. Yes.
uncomfort.
Embrace it.
Embrace it. It's genuinely what will yield growth, and
Yes.
it's nothing bad. Truly isn't. It's just uncomfortable because you have always received some form of input. So again, it's not a pleasant one. And as I said, don't mistake an easy life for a good life because it's often unfulfilling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So bottom line from you.
Yes. I think it's taken it in the right order. Like you
Okay.
said, in the right start, right? In the
Yeah.
start of the whole thing, find yourself first. That's the pinnacle. If you try to branch out before finding yourself first, then you're going to take all of the wrong things in, all of the wrong people, and all of the wrong information. Find yourself first, find something you can be accountable to, and then you can branch out to relationships, skills,
Yeah.
habits, routines, finding out what you want to do, and then doing it, having this energy interact. Because I
Expressing
think
it.
it's, yes, I think it's extremely valuable to actually sit again in solitude and then just study, learn, find
Yeah.
all spectrums, find all angles of the spectrum, and then you can go ahead after and then act with intention and righteousness, right? So
Yeah.
finding yourself, finding some higher power to be accountable to, trying to find other people on the same mission as you, and then go from there. Find, go and study, go in solitude, meditate, transcend to the spiritual world, etc. Go ahead, Like we only have one life. If you mess it up, then that's on you.
Yeah. And what I will say, because this is something I had written down for the number 9, is also, and I didn't elaborate on it. When you go through life seeking experiences, personal experiences, like for instance, God or anything of that nature, which cannot be seen or proven, please understand that if you have come to your own rational, logical conclusion that whatever you experienced was real, then listen to me very carefully. No one outside of you has the um the goddamn brain farts. I can't think of the word. Basically, what I'm trying to say is no one is allowed um, to go against what you've experienced. So, what I'm
Yes.
trying to say is if you experience something and you know it by heart that whatever you experienced was real, don't allow
Yes.
anyone to convince you out of it, because
Yes.
miracles are the things that you have to not only quote unquote earn, but also once you experience them, you have to nurture them and you have to allow them, because they're not going to come back as easily if you reject them. So if you experience God and someone says that you're delusional, schizophrenic, or you're going crazy,
Yes.
don't push back on them, but
Yeah.
accept them. Take them take them for what they are and understand that their own personal experience is not yours, so they cannot see.
Yes.
And again, be very selective with who you share your information with, because
Yes.
and I've experienced that in my life, even explaining certain things to my own mom, like she started to question my
Oh
sanity.
yes. Oh yes. Oh absolutely.
So yeah,
Yes.
that's it.
This has been more of a brainstorm and an elaboration of thoughts than it has been a podcast, but it's I think people will find this immensely helpful, at least a handful, some of people. And those people
Oh
who are watching this right now and thinking, this makes sense, I want you guys to go ahead and meditate on this and find out who you are. And if you're longer
yeah,
in the process, find out your higher power, find out what you want to do, and then go ahead and make an actionable plan and then execute it.
yeah. And also, I really think that we were on fire again.
Yes.
It's like I sort of surprised myself, and because again, it's the steady progress towards a worthy ideal, and
Yes.
it's just been so amazing. I like again, Seb. I
Yeah.
know we say it every 5 minutes, but I have to say it again. Thank you for being on this
Yes.
journey with me. I'm
Absolutely,
so
man. It's
grateful.
appreciated.
I'm so grateful.
Yes, me too. It's me too. And
Yeah,
it's a
and
long term, right?
exactly.
It's long in the future. I'm excited because it's already been a ride. Like just the
Yeah,
insights and the knowledge. Oh, it's been amazing. I hope
yeah,
everyone out there take this, applies it.
exactly. And those people who are still listening after 2 hours,
Yeah.
please just shoot us a message or something so that we know that you went through it, and maybe
Give some feedback.
we give you some surprises.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you for being here. Not only you, Seb, but also to the people who are
Oh yes.
listening. We are immensely grateful to be doing what we are doing because we were called to do it. So again, it's been such a pleasure, and whatever, like the things that are coming in the future weeks, days,
Oh yes.
years, months. Wow, just wow.
Yes.
It's
That's
going to be, yeah, wow.
yes. Find your seats. Get your popcorn up. It's going
Yeah,
to be amazing. So
yeah.
thank you all. I'm going to stop the recording now. So have a pleasurable day out there and
Take
come
care.
back. Yes.
Yeah.